Alright everybody, I'm just going to pretty much talk about this demo as we go along. It's basically, black and white underpainting has been done, and what I'm doing with Pastel is the initial layers, getting the darks, the midtones, and the highlights. So let's go ahead and go into this. Initially you can see I'm putting in a wash, sort of the local color of the face. Usually not the lightest light, but the mid-tone of the face, sort of a light flesh color. You'll be able to identify it. So, like when you work in oils, you like to have the surface wet. And that's basically what I like to do in pastel. I like to cover the surface so I can sort of move the color around. Pastel doesn't work as well on a surface that doesn't have any pastel underneath. Initially I'm working in the harder pastels, such as let's say Pit Pastel, New Pastels. Those are the pastels I would be using at this stage. But if, let's say, I don't have the color, I'll go with a softer pastel, but just lighter. Right now what I'm doing is I'm hitting the darkest darks. And I'm doing that usually with a dark red. Sometimes I will mix two colors together to get the luminosity in the darks. Even in the darkest darks, there's a certain amount of color there. You want to make sure that you are able to capture that. Now, if you notice here, I take notes and even have a game plan with a painting. This helps a lot. If you don't have a map, if you start out in a destination, chances are you're not going to arrive at your destination. You'll arrive somewhere else. So definitely have a game plan going in and be disciplined. Now you see here I'm going in with a mid-tone red here. It's pretty high saturated, but I'm going to calm that down. But right now I'm just working on the borders of the darkest dark and the mid-tone, and sort of glazing color on top of each other. You can see how the underpainting of gray is really helping me out here. In essence, calming down the colors, calming down the pastel, because underneath is gray. Hitting the reflected light with a sort of rose color. I know that looks kind of crazy right now, but we're gonna calm that down. Just initially putting down color that we can work with, but really looking close at the model. You want to look long, look before you paint every stroke, whether it be pastel, oils, airbrush, whether it be drawing, or anything for that matter. Make sure you really study the model. Really look before you work. Just continuing that border between the darkest darks and the midtones. You can see now it's starting to take shape a little bit, even though it basically has to do with the strong underpainting, strong drawing, sort of has a strong foundation. I remember my teacher Harvey Dinnerstein once said that you could have a beautiful painting, but if the drawing underneath is wrong, it's not going to make a difference. A good drawing, even if the colors are off, it'll still look good. A lot of painters out there will do that, and they'll be totally off base and come out and say they're impressionists. Hey, whatever works. There you can see the whole image. You can also see how when I'm putting in the darkest darks, then the midtones, you can see how much darker I have to go with the colors next to the midtones. You know, like the local color of the flesh. You can see I can go darker, and I will. Basically establishing the darks of the lips there. You want to keep moving around when doing a portrait or painting the figure. Reason why you want to move around, because you want to create the ensemble. You don't want lips, nose, eyes. You want to create a unified image. You can see I'm laying in that darkest dark, putting some luminosity in that dark. Remember, we're made out of flesh and blood. It's going to be a lot of reds in our face, in the darks even. Even if you don't initially see it, there is red in those darks. There you go. You see I'm putting in some color in that local flesh color. Because once I did the darkest darks and the midtones, I really see that I was a little light. Also brings me to the point, when you're going to work either from life or a photograph, please make sure that what you're working from has strong lights and darks, has a full range of values from your darkest darks to your midtones to your lights to your highlights. This will create an image that is strong. This will create an image that has three-dimensionality, and also creates an image that carries from across the room. You don't want a painting that is going to fall apart, let's say 30-40 feet away. You want to create an image that is going to be sculptural. You want an image that is going to make an impact from up close as well as far away. Reestablishing those darks, making sure that the contrast is there, and you'll see I'll go back in again with the red after I hit those darkest darks. But even now you can see that there is a certain luminosity or glow to the darks. There I'm coming in with that color. Now this is a packing peanut that you get from Staples, and you can squish them and they stay squished. They're very malleable. These are fantastic for blending the pastels. You can, between your forefinger and your thumb, you can create a point. You can use these as a blending material, and you can also use it as a type of brush to brush the pastel pigment. And you'll see I'll do that in just a moment, which is really great.